Alright, what's up, guys? Well, I have not done a video in a while. In almost 4 years. Yeah, it's been a lot going on. So, just turn my phone off here. Okay. Yeah, so, it's definitely been a lot going on. Past 2 years in particular, there's been a lot going on with one of my jobs, in my retail job. It's Stop and Shop. I've been on physical medical leave and really trying everything I can to not give up that job. I've invested a lot of benefits into that place and stuff, so but it's definitely been taking a toll on me for sure. Yeah, so a lot's been going on with that, and it was also part of the aftermath of something bigger that had happened, potentially bigger that had happened from 2019 to 2022 that I had going on as well. So just a lot of reflection's been going on, and a lot of stuff has been, I believe, to have been revealed to me. So, wow. It's hard to figure out where to begin. I didn't prep too much for this one. I knew of two key concepts I wanted to cover in this one. That being the concept of give me everything you've got. Applying that mentality through thick and thin, through the best and the worst of times. And then applying the concept of Occam's razor, give a chance to the simplest possibility. Explore the simplest possibility. Don't be afraid of the simplest possibility because you're afraid that you are just taking the easy way out, right? So I can't tell you how hard it's been. I mean, it's just been really hard for me to even pray, to do my daily prayer. It really has been. And it really has been. And as a fellow Christian, it is my duty to, obviously, and pardon some of the pauses here on my part. I'm really trying to make a video through the best and worst of times, and I'm just trying to make a video and just kind of get some of my thoughts out, and really just try my best during this rough time that I'm going through, which is hopefully coming to an end soon. Well, it will be coming to an end. So whatever the result is of this, whether I get to keep that job or have to move on to a different side job in a different company, I know it's going to be okay no matter what. Okay, that comes from my faith. I know it's going to be okay no matter what. I really do. And as a fellow Christian, I encourage anybody to be open to finding the light that is the Most High God. The Most High God. And that's become very central in my life for the past many years now. Since really, I would want to say 2017, I really took off with becoming more involved with my faith. Well, just studying my faith more. Since 2017, I've been studying my faith more. So this has been very central in my life from that point, and I always did believe up to that point too. But from 2017 onward, it has been a really big deal for me. Despite myself being non-denominational, I'm still Christian at heart, and I'm always open to, explaining that to anyone. And I know I'm not in the best position to be of help to people right now, but for anyone that wants to hear about what it's like to be a Christian, or at least a believer in God in general, or one of the three, because I know there are the three Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, right? At least to, just consider becoming a believer, right? Obviously, I would encourage one to become specifically Christian, but, I can at least try to help you become a believer, if anything. Anyway, I don't want this to go in the wrong direction. Not the wrong direction, but this video is not about that. And this video is not about Stop and Shop either. This video, and I'm going to be potentially talking about Occam's razor and Give Me Everything You Got. Perhaps together, simultaneously, or separately. I'm not entirely sure yet. But something I began to really consider over the past year was that I was really avoiding the simplest of answers, the simplest ways of thinking about my past. Being afraid to believe that I was thinking the right way from the beginning. Being afraid to think that it really wasn't as bad as I thought. And for people who are trying to humble themselves, who also additionally have OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, it can be really hard. It can be really hard to really want to humble yourself on a deeper level while having OCD. And yeah, that can be tough. It can be tough for anybody, really. I can see why many people in the world struggle with humbling themselves more because they're afraid of what it's going to do to them, right? They're afraid of what it's going to do to them. We live in a country where we're brought up a certain way, depending where you live anyway, and just in other countries, people think simpler. They're not less intelligent than we are. They just think simpler. They think more simplistically because they were not raised in a way where their minds were allowed to wander and whatever. So it's not as hard for them to humble themselves, but it's hard to humble yourself after growing up in a certain environment in society and being raised a certain way in the household. It can be really hard to humble yourself later in life, and that even comes down to Sigmund Freud, the idea of fixation and how it's hard to undo a fixation the older you get. It really is. I'm grateful for what I studied with psychology. Even though I'm going to be an educator now instead of a school counselor, I'm grateful for everything I learned in psychology and how I'm going to apply it to the classroom, for sure. 3 classes into my undergraduate degree for mathematics before I start my master's. 2 more to go for that undergrad. Gotta get it done. But I want to get the A's at the same time so that my GPA is not impacted. As silly as that might sound, B plus versus an A, is it really that much of a difference? I get it. But Occam's razor, don't be afraid to apply Occam's razor. I know I'm not explaining this in the best way that I could if I was in a better state of mind, but I just want to get this out there. Apply it. Don't be afraid to apply it. Don't be afraid. I've been receiving so many signs, so many confirmations of thoughts that I've had in just ways that I'm not going to share on camera or whatever, but but it's important to share those testimonials. If people are curious about my testimonials, you reach out to me and I will share them with you if I feel that you really want to use that for good, not for bad, right? But it's been amazing. It's just been an amazing journey my whole life. And I've struggled with applying Occam's razor my whole life. I really have struggled with that. I've really thought of every possible way to believe that I was being punished or that I was put to a certain task because I wasn't going to realize it any other way, not as a punishment, but because I wouldn't realize it any other way. I thought all these things about why it could be the worst possible thing. And I finally equally factored in the possibility that maybe it's not that, maybe it's something else, maybe because I wouldn't have realized that it was simpler, and that I would have continued to think that it was complicated, and that this was the only way to blockade me from continuing to think down that bad path was by bad things continuing to happen to me, to stop me from my progression, quote unquote. To stop me from my progression toward thinking continually in that bad way. I was blockaded by other bad things happening to me so that I would be paused until I realized that it was simpler so that I could finally be released and resume. To resume the right way, not the wrong way, right? I know this resonates with people who have OCD or something similar, or even if you don't have OCD but you still think like this, right? Understand, I get it. I can share it out. I can share it out. If you reach out to me, I can share it out to you. Don't be afraid to apply that. It's okay. Give just as much consideration to the simplest answer as you give to the most complicated answer. give equal consideration. You have to. Don't be afraid, because if you're too afraid, you won't even realize that you're not giving equal consideration. You might think you're giving equal consideration to both, when in fact you're not, because you're too scared. Your fear is preventing you from realizing that you are not giving equal consideration to both. Your fear is preventing you from doing that. Your fear is making you think that you're not giving enough consideration to the worst possibility. The harshest possible outcome versus the least harshest outcome, or some in between. But in this case of what I went through, it was either the harshest way or the least harsh way. Or rather, like, it was just either one thing or another thing. There is not always this happy medium. Sometimes it's either one way or the other way. And that's part of the process of Occam's razor, is it's just understanding when a situation is either one way or another, without there being a possible in between. Now, I'll talk a little bit about give me everything you've got, as I potentially remember more to say about Occam's razor. Sorry. Give me everything you got. Yeah. You know, I hold to that in the best and the worst of times. I love to say to someone, give me everything you got, because to me it just doesn't make sense for them to not give me everything they have. For me, it just doesn't make sense to not challenge myself all the way. For me, it doesn't make sense. I'm so embedded in this lifestyle of mine that it just doesn't make sense to me to avoid a greater challenge. When I know a greater challenge is there, when I know that something, when I know I could be challenged more greatly, when I know I can be challenged better, I will ask for that. Okay. Now, sometimes I might ask for a gradual, depending on what it is. If it's my really first time doing something, yeah, I would ask for a gradual. But depending. Yeah. Something down to the simplest, silliest thing of just having a Pokemon battle on my Nintendo Switch and Pokemon Scarlet. I would say to my opponent, give me everything you got. That's my motto, that's my logo. Give me everything you have, all the skill you have. If I'm debating with somebody over an issue of morality or an interpretation of the Bible or something in society or something, I would want them to give me everything they have. I will answer all the questions that I can answer. I don't walk away from an argument. A lot of people hate me for that. A lot of people hate me for not walking away from an argument because I'm able to continue it. Some people have said I'm annoying. No, I'm only annoying because I know how to continue to defend myself and whatnot. Because if I wasn't worth listening to, you wouldn't be bothered by it. You just move on. So you call me annoying because I actually say things that make sense. Yeah, people in my past, one particular person in my past who really tried to ruin my whole reputation as a human being. Close to nobody that I went to school with, to high school with, grade school with, will talk to me. And, I don't forget that. Because that person said that I said things that I'd never said. And those two people would not have said that I said those things. I never demagogued anybody. I never did that. And it's sad that I have to be lonely now because of that. It is. And I take apologies. I accept people's apologies when they apologize, but when people don't apologize, I hope that people who have committed wrongs will find the light. I do. I really do. And, I just know that I would never try to do that to somebody's reputation. I would not spread lies. I wouldn't do that. I would not do that. I just wouldn't do that. And that's my being honest. just so nobody watching this thinks that this is all an active facade. No, I'm still being real. I'm still being candid. I'm showing you the humility, and I'm showing you the candidness as well. I'm showing you both. Well, it's all candid. It's all candid. I'm just showing you. I'm just showing you the different dimensions. I'm just showing you all my emotions, so it doesn't look like one big facade. I'm being candid from the beginning of this to the end of this. So, again, giving me everything that you got. I encourage people to challenge themselves. It's kind of like what I said in the last video, like you haven't lived until you live. And by the way, I still call this Words with Noodle because this is still a spin-off to the Biscuit Noodle show that I really hope we will do one more season for one day. I really, really do. So I will still call this Words with Noodle because of that. And but yeah, when you challenge yourself, when you're not afraid to give it everything you have and receive everything someone else has, it allows you to really be able to combat it, to understand how to fight it back in every way, from every angle. In every way, from every angle. Because people who walk away from something, who just lose their temper and walk away, those are people who are either afraid or they don't have as much drive as they think they do, or as they say they do, or both. So that's the reality of it. Giving it everything you have shows that you're not full of it. It certainly ain't a facade. Ain't no facade. There's no facading your way through giving it everything you have. There's not. Challenge me on that statement. Please do. You know I ain't afraid. Give me everything you have. Give me everything you got. You know, at this point in my life, I've been received people, women who would have gone all the way with me and married me, but I have certain religious opinions about the Christian faith and whatnot, to where they had to move on and whatnot. It's not about morality, it's something else. It's not about like an issue of like, it wasn't about gender roles, I don't think I spoke about. No, it was one main thing that again, it has to do with my being non-denominational. So I've been received people who would have given me everything I wanted, who would have proved all the haters wrong, that I never was asking for too much of someone's time, that it's normal for people to spend a lot of time with each other, to spend every waking moment with each other. People that have been brought to me who would have given me all of that. But there are things more important than that. As I've become more invested in my faith, as I've studied my faith more, there are things more important than those things. Understanding the concept of who God is, that's what I'm really talking about here, is where the people wouldn't agree with me on it. But I have to search more on that now and figure out, is it okay to compromise on certain things that don't affect morality? And that's something I have to search for with God, and I will search for God, search through God on that, and find out. If certain beliefs can be agreed to be disagreed on, as long as the morality of the person is not affected by it. As long as my morality is in sync with somebody else's, right? So I know this is kind of going around here, but I'm trying to keep it all together under one concept. Give me everything you got. That's what I want us all to apply. I really do encourage us to. So you can defend yourself from every angle on something, so you can be able to know every single way that somebody will argue something, and you will have a way to argue back about any possible way that someone can argue something. And even on the things that you don't know that they will argue, you will be so good, you will be so ready that you will be able to figure it out there on the spot, because your drive will be there, and you will be experienced, and you will be able to do it. You will be able to defend it. You will be able to succeed. And even when you don't succeed, sometimes it helps you learn more what you need to learn, and then come back to that argument, and then better be able to defend yourself on that argument that you weren't able to defend before. That's okay. That happens that way sometimes. Sometimes you need time to think about something. You can't rush an answer all the time. Sometimes you have to submit, concede, and say, okay, I'm going to think more on this and come back to it. That's very important to know, too, about giving it everything you have. It doesn't mean rushing into every answer. It also means giving it all your consideration, all of your patience, all of your intellect, all of your insight, all of your best judgment. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. So apply Occam's razor. Apply, give me everything you got. Apply it. Apply it. Apply it in the best and worst of times. I'm here doing everything I can to make this video in the toughest of times. And I want all of us to adopt that mentality and take it with them. And carry it with them through everything. I mean what I say. I've come a long way in my life. Thank you guys for listening. If I think of anything else to add, I'll add it in. I will. I will. I'll edit it in there. Again, for those of you who watched this until the end, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope that I can have some glimmer of an effect on anyone. Or more than just anyone. I hope that I can have some glimmer of an effect on many people. And hopefully more of a glimmer. Hopefully a great effect. I hope. And hopefully you guys can offer me some of your experience as well. I would love that. Well, guys, as the sun is setting here, stay strong, stay faithful, and be epic.